Hi folks, I'm Dave Gallus. I'm running for New Mexico State Senate District 37. My whole premise is to bring unity to New Mexico. We're starting this show. It's going to be a weekly show. Look for us at 10 a.m. Saturday and 1 p.m. on Saturday at the Comcast Xfinity Channel 98. And it'll also be on YouTube. Look for We the People with Dave Gallus. Also, it'll be on the Las Cruces channel Facebook page. So I said that it's about unity, and I'm finding that there's problems in our government. I hear a lot of disgruntled people. So I really want to make a difference. And I realized I was over at the Butterfield Community Center, and I was also at the Oregon Community Center, and I realized that a large portion of my constituents in Senate District 37 is going to be Hispanic. So, and basically, District 37 is between the Oregon Mountains and I-25 and travels north from about the University Avenue all the way up to almost to Upham. Now, it does include the Talavera section that's just south of the city. So like I was saying, that a lot of my constituents are going to be Hispanic. And my whole premise is to create unity, like I said. And I'd like to read in Spanish. Now, it's funny, I was at the Butterfield Community Center, and while I was there, I met a couple of older gentlemen. One was Joe, the other is Albert, really nice fellows. They spoke English, but there were some people that didn't speak English. And I was there with Isabella Solis, who was speaking about her county commission positions and what she was doing. And I introduced myself at that time as being a candidate for Senate District 37. Well, this little woman, a little petite woman, Rosa Morales, she spoke up when we were talking, and she said, there are ladies in the back that are Hispanic that do not understand English. Can I interpret? So, of course, Isabel and I said, of course. And I saw Rosa later on at another location, and I said, Rosa, I said, you know, I'd really like to learn Spanish. And she told me where I could go. There's a community center over off of Loman around Roadrunner. So I went there, and she interpreted the words that I wanted to say about my candidacy in Spanish. So bear with me, folks. I'm going to try and read this in Spanish. Hola, mi nombre es Dave Gallus, David. Soy un candidato para el Senado del Estado de Nuevo México, Distrito 37. Soy cristiano, mis valores son conservadores y están guiados por el sentido común. Yo respeto las leyes de la Constitución de Nuevo México y de Estados Unidos. Mi enfoque principal es la educación, los empleos, valor por la familia y seguridad pública. Mis ideas son mías y estoy dispuesto a compartir la explicación de por qué creo de esa manera. Como su senador, seré responsable de presentar sus puntos de vista y creencias y cuando trabajando y votando por nuevas leyes para ayudar a los residentes de Nuevo Mexico. And in English, what I said was, hello, my name is Dave Gallus. I am a candidate for Senate of the State of New Mexico, District 37. I am a Christian. My values are conservative and guided by common sense. I respect the laws of the Constitution of New Mexico and the United States. My main focus is education, jobs, family, and security or public safety. My ideas are mine, and I'm willing to explain why I feel that way. As your senator, I'm responsible for presenting your views and beliefs when introducing and voting for new laws to assist New Mexico residents. So, folks, I'm trying to learn Spanish, and it's very interesting. As I said, my platforms, well, before I go there, I keep with me a copy of my Spanish to English dictionary. I have my U.S. Constitution in Spanish as well. Of course, I have my U.S. Constitution in English, and I also have my New Mexico State Constitution. And I'm finding that our politicians don't follow much of what's in both constitutions. So that's one of the things I want to address as a senator. But my main platforms are education, jobs, family, and security. And when I talk about education, there's two parts to the education. The one part is educating the voters, the electorate, the people that are eligible to vote. And I come to find out that probably only 50% in major elections do people vote. 50% people vote. Now, I don't know why that is. I imagine it's people are apathetic and think, well, why bother? My vote doesn't count. Well, it certainly does count. And I've heard talk about, well, we should have term limits on candidates. We do have term limits. They're called elections. Every so many years, when the person's up for election, you can vote the bums out if they're not doing their job. So the education of the electorate is so important. And election can be so easy right now. I mean, we have voting convenience centers. We have early voting. All this information is available. And I'll be glad to give you that information. My phone number, my email address, my website will be up on the screen. You can contact me. I'll be glad to share. I'm also a voter registration agent, so I'll be glad to come to your house if you want and sign you up. I have voter registration applications in English and in Spanish. And like I said, I'm learning Spanish, so I should be able to handle that. So the education of the people that are voting. If you don't know who your candidates are, if you don't know their history, if you don't know their platforms. Now, a candidate that's been in office will have a track record. You can go to nmlegis.gov, I believe it is. It's the New Mexico legislature. And you can find out just what the record is on the different candidates that have been in office. And in my case, I've never held public office before. You can find out about my history from what I tell you, and you can follow up on that. Now, I was a Philadelphia policeman for 25 years. And so you could look that up if you want. Contact the Philadelphia Police Department. I spent 25 years there, 10 years on the street, 15 years as a police diver and a police diving instructor. So I started out 19 years old. I was working in a black ghetto, and it was a real revelation. And this was right after we had riots in California, the Watts riots. We had New York riots. Philadelphia, they tried to riot. The Black Panthers were trying to riot on Columbia Avenue, but we had a mayor that we had a commissioner, police commissioner that turned mayor that stopped the riots cold in their tracks. We had riots in our Holmesburg prison. It was bad. And over time, things had improved until, I would say, the last president we had here didn't do such a hot job with bringing together race relations. However, I will say this much, that our people electing a black president, I'm proud of them. I voted for Barack Obama the first term, but not the second. So I think we've come a long way. To get back on my topic of education. Okay, so education is very important for the people to know who they're voting for and to make sure they get out and vote. And you have to be registered if you want to vote. So you got to get out and register. And that's easy to do at the county building. You can do it online, or, like I said, a voter registration agent will be glad to help you with that. The other part of education is our students. Now, the fellow that I'm running against, Bill Soules, nice enough guy, has a nice smile, and I'm sure he's trying to do his best, but he's been in the Senate as the vice chairman and now the chairman of the Senate Education Committee for his full term in office, almost 8 years. And New Mexico is the worst state in the union when it comes to pre-K through 12th grade. Something's not working, folks. So I have ideas about that, and I'll be telling you all about that over time. But basically, I believe in school choice. Now, we all pay taxes, and a lot of our taxes go for our school system, our education. Wouldn't you? I think it's very important that we have a choice where our kids go to school and what they learn. So I know Betsy DeVos, Senator Ted Cruz, and President Trump are trying to get a bill passed that's a $5 billion tax credit for school vouchers. That means you should be able to choose where your child wants to school, and you should know what the curriculum is that your children are being taught. So this is the other part of education. We really need to have choices. Now, again, the fellow that I'm running against, a lot of his campaign money is coming from the School Teachers Union and other unions outside of the state. Now, why would they do that? Why would the School Teachers Union want to elect this fella here? And we're the worst state in the nation when it comes to education. So, I'll let you figure that one out. My whole purpose is to make sure our children are ready for a job, which is my next platform. Education, jobs, family, and security. Jobs. We need to have a business-friendly environment in Las Cruces, Doña Ana County, and New Mexico. Because if our children are educated properly, and I believe that can happen with the right school system, with the right school choice, then they'll be ready for a job, and a job that can be local. We don't want our kids to get educated, graduate, and leave our areas. We want to keep our kids local. We want to have these jobs available. We want to have the business community working with the education system. We want the educators to be advising our students and saying, well, no, a liberal arts degree is not necessarily going to get you a job in the air conditioning industry. You're going to have good advice from your counselors. You're going to have good advice from the business community that will hire you. And you'll have to know, is that a sustainable life with the money that you'll make in that particular business? After you've secured a good job, and we can bring jobs back into Doña Ana County in New Mexico, then you will be able to have a family. The next part of education, jobs, family. Once you have a good education, you have a good job, you're making enough money, now you can support a family. Like I said, I grew up in Philadelphia. I was a young policeman in North Philadelphia in the 25th District, and I saw generational welfare. And, you know, people would say, oh, they're lazy. Well, they didn't have any jobs available. And that's one thing that this president is doing, is he's creating jobs. He's reducing regulations so the business community wants to open businesses up. And the vast majority of businesses are small businesses, and they hire most of the people in the United States, small businesses. Now, right now, we're taking a hit from the coronavirus. No doubt about it. We want to keep people safe. But you have to balance that with the cost benefit of keeping businesses closed. Now, from what I understand in Doña Ana County, we only had 2 deaths from the coronavirus. So we're going to take a break soon, and when we come back, then I'll talk a little bit more about business and family. But so let's see. I'm going to have a guest on next week, and he's an expert on elections in Doña Ana County. And if you have any questions about today's broadcast or about next week's guest that's going to come on, please contact me at 856-952-7343, or you can email me at davegal1, D-A-V-E-G-A-L, then the number 1 at msn.com, and give me your questions, comments. Try to keep it civil if you don't agree with me, and I will address those questions on next week's show. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue on family, jobs, and security. So we'll see you in a couple minutes.
We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Hi folks, this is Dave Gallus again. I'm running for New Mexico State Senate in District 37, which encompasses between Interstate 25 and the Oregon Mountains and travels north from University Avenue, including the Talavera section, almost to Upham, New Mexico. So we were talking about my platform. I was talking about the fact that a lot of my constituents will be Hispanic, so I'm learning the Spanish language as best I can. And my platforms are education, jobs, family, and security. So with your education, first off, the education of the electorate, the people that vote, so you know who you're voting for and you make sure you vote. It's so powerful. We've had elections in the city that people have lost by 8 votes. Now, if we get out and vote, we can change the whole layout of the political system. But we have to vote. But we also have to vote responsibly. We have to know who we're voting for, what their history is, what their platforms are. Do they make sense? Because most of this is common sense. Some people will talk gibberish. Some people will talk like lawyers. I keep asking questions and say, what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know. Tell me what that means. And don't be afraid to raise your hand. Don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to ask me questions. And if I don't know it, I'll find out. So anyway, we're talking about education, jobs, family, and security. With the right education, we can vote properly. With the right education for our students, they can secure jobs that can allow them to have a family. How the heck do you start a family without an income? Welfare, it just makes people weaker and more dependent on the government. However, I was married to a lady that used the welfare system, and she went from living off of food stamps to running a hospital as a nurse and an administrator. She used the system. The system was necessary. Everybody falls on hard times. My son had to use it for a while. That's okay. But you don't want to stay there, because if you're on the welfare, you're here. And the government will allow you whatever they want to give you, just to keep you satisfied. If you are independent, making any amount of money you want to, it's only limited to your dreams and ideas and the amount of effort you put into it. So you can be here, but if you're in a welfare system, you're here. Don't let the government make you a parasite. So okay, now you got your education, your job, your family's underway. That's the perfect scenario, right? But if you do everything right up to that point, you're in good shape. Now, security. Like I said, I'm a retired Philadelphia policeman, and I think sometimes, why did I get involved in politics? Well, I think I got involved for the same reason I became a policeman, because I hate a bully. You know, when I was a kid, growing up in the 50s, I was born in 51, we had plenty of bullies around. And I usually held my own with the kids in the schoolyard or on the ball field. And then I ran into other bullies when I became a policeman. These were deadly bullies, you know, murderers, rapists, robbers. And I managed to save a few lives, and I managed to put some bad guys away, and bad girls. But getting into politics, these people, they appear to be sweet and honest and non-corrupt, but that doesn't seem to be the case sometimes. So I don't like the government bullying us people, and that's why I'm involved. That's why I want to run for office. I served my city of Philadelphia as a policeman, and now I want to serve my community in New Mexico as a senator. So, we've covered all that. There's a few other things that I've been doing as well. Myself and 4 other fellas are putting out a publication, and it's called Issachar. And I would be glad to send you one if you give me a call at 856-952-7343 or email me at davegal1, DAVEGAL1, at msn.com. I'll be glad to send you a copy. And basically, it's faith-based. It uses the Bible sometimes. It uses common sense. And it is political because it's asking questions nowadays. It's talking about questions like abortion, about border security, about Second Amendment rights, about our founding fathers and why they created this great nation and how they were geniuses at putting together the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. These men were brilliant. They saw way ahead of their time. And if we followed our constitutions, both the state and the federal constitution, we would eliminate 80% of the problems we have. Now, that's my estimation, but I'm not alone in that thinking. You know, there's another thing. A person asked me, they say, well, how do you feel about animals? I love animals. I love people. I love life in every way, shape, and form. As a matter of fact, I had a pretty traumatic experience. My youngest daughter, Dawn, passed away at 8 months. And that really screwed me up for quite a while. But I think it was divine providence, I'm sure it was, that not long after Dawn passed away, and I was in this, I don't know how to explain it, a cloud. It feels like a portion of your chest is missing. You know, you got that, there's a hollow feeling when you can't protect your child. And I had to watch Dawn suffer for 5 months of her 8 months of life in St. Christopher's Hospital, and I could do nothing to help her. But not long after Dawn passed away, I injured my hand. That's why I got this crooked finger that doesn't straighten out. And because of that injury, I was off duty for probably the whole summer, and I cut nerves, tendons, arteries in my finger, and it's my gun hand, so I couldn't carry a gun, and also I couldn't dive. I was a police diver at the time. So they reconnected the tendon, they connected one tendon. They couldn't get the other one. They reconnected the artery and the nerve. They pieced that together. And then they had a hole through my fingernail, and it had a rubber band attached to my wrist. Now, what's that supposed to do is it's supposed to keep my finger from flexing the new tendon that was just reattached. Well, it was the same tendon, but they had to sew it together. Now, tendons are like, they have tensile strength of steel, but when they're pieced together, it takes a while for them to heal back to that strength. So here I am with this gizmo in my hand. I'm right-handed, so that was fun, and using the bathroom was a real challenge. So the one day I'm walking out front holding my cup of coffee, walking out on my front patio, and I hear something scream at my left leg. Well, it startled me so much that the coffee cup went flying. I crashed through the trash cans that were up against the hedge, barreled through the hedge, and when I finally got up and looked around, here's this white plastic trash bag sitting on the ground, and there's this tiny, it looked like a glob of flesh. It was a bird that had just fallen out of the nest. Now, it must have just been out of the egg. I don't know how long, but there was no feathers, no fur, no nothing. It was just a little pink body with a lot of blue and red veins just under the skin, and it had this massive mouth, all yellow, and it was looking directly at me, and it was screaming. So it's like I had to laugh because I'm thinking, okay, I'm a street-hardened cop, and I'm being terrorized by a tiny little bird. So I looked around for witnesses, and I didn't see anybody. I said, okay. But that bird had fallen about 20 feet out of its nest, and there was concrete all around except where it landed on that plastic trash bag, almost like a stunt bird. Well, that bird, I called him Junior. And I actually raised that bird. Now, I'll say I taught him how to fly, and I can expand on that sometime, but we're running out of time. But that bird kind of brought me back from this very dark place that I was in. And what I did was, I wrote the story about Junior, the bird, and it's called My First Son Was Hatched. And that divine providence helped me not get over. You never get over when you lose your child. But having Junior in my life, I couldn't protect Dawn, and I couldn't save Dawn. But Junior, I did. I was able to save him to where he grew. I learned how to feed him. I taught him how to fly. And the one day he was on my shoulder, and then the next day I'm out in the field taking him for a walk, and he flies up into this big tree. So he's up in this big tree, and I'm waiting for him to come down. Well, he didn't come down, and then it started getting dark. Well, I had to go home because it was dark, and I thought, I don't want to chase him down out of the tree because, he's just a new flyer. He could hurt himself. So I went home. Didn't sleep too good that night. I came back the next day, and I had water, and I had some food for him. And all I did was pull up with the car, roll the window down, and I hollered Junior. And it must have been 100 feet away. This bird lifted off of the branch, the same branch that he was on the night before, come flying down. I thought he was going to crash into the side of the car, did a perfect landing, and sat right on the door. So, and then later on, as I would take Junior back to the location where I had him out for his flight lessons, he finally flew away the one day and never came back. But that story healed my heart, and it was very special for me. So, do I love animals? Yeah, I think that proves I love animals. And it's a funny story, too, because he almost dies at one point because of my not having foresight on feeding him properly. So anyway, next week, folks, we're going to have the expert in elections, the expert from Doñana County, and he's going to talk to us about elections and what's coming up. We should have time before the primary and then the general election. But his name's Andrew, and he's very knowledgeable, and I look forward to, and he's become a good friend and very knowledgeable on elections. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that you tune in again, and you can follow us on the Las Cruces channel, Xfinity cable TV channel, Comcast Xfinity channel 98, and the Facebook page. And give me a call. Get a hold of me through my email. Ask me questions. Comment on the show. And I will be back every week, God willing, and we will discuss politics in Las Cruces, Doñana County, and New Mexico.